At just about the same time, but this was no rocket. It was a meteor entering Earth's atmosphere.
Correspondent Jory Rand, PG&E reporting it's restored power to all customers able to receive it in the Campfire Burn area. Last of about 10,000 residents who lost electricity when the deadly fire began November 8th. Jeff Scott, California News.
You're out for a jog, getting in the zone when...
Ew! Oh, it smells like rotten eggs.
Meanwhile, dirt is swirling in the air, and you hear a hissing noise.
Dude, it's a snake.
No, dude. A hissing sound, swirling dirt, or rotten egg odor can mean there's a natural gas leak. Natural gas lines can be buried anywhere. If you suspect a leak, leave immediately and call 911 and Southwest Gas.
Oh, thanks, deep-voiced narrator.
You're welcome, young person.
It's maybe the night that my dreams might let me know. All the stars are closer. All the stars are closer.
Tell me what you gonna do to me. Confrontation ain't nothing new to me. You could bring a bullet, bring a sword, bring a morgue, but you can't bring the truth to me.
Alexa, play Kendrick Lamar and SZA.
Okay. Maybe the night that my dreams might let me know. All the stars are closer.
With Amazon Music, a voice is all you need. Get tens of millions of songs. Download the Amazon Music app today.
California headline news. A 23-month-old girl fighting for her life after allegedly getting run over by her uncle in Fresno, who took off after the incident. Police say he drove over the girl on West Geary Street on Tuesday and was arrested yesterday morning. The girl hospitalized in critical condition with head and spinal injuries. The man reportedly denied being involved in the incident but fessed up when confronted with video evidence from a neighbor's security camera. The mother of the child initially didn't tell police he was involved so he wouldn't get in trouble. California News, I'm Jeff Scott.
From the KCAA Weather Center, I'm Alvin Washington. Today, sunshine, high of 80. Partly cloudy this evening, low 51. Sunshine Friday, high 73. Partly cloudy Friday night, low 48. I'm Alvin Washington, broadcasting live from the Tri-City Center at the 10 and 210 freeways. We are the trifecta of talk in Southern California, KCAA, 102.3 FM, Riverside, 106.5 FM, Redlands, and the Legacy 1050 AM, Loma Linda, San Bernardino.
KCAA, where every day is a great day.
Welcome back. I'm Erin Brinker.
And I'm Todd Brinker.
And we love the Chipmunks.
Oh, the helium days.
And we are on the Brink, the morning show on KCAA, AM 1050, FM 106.5, and FM 102.3. And I am super excited. We have guests in the studio. We're joined by Dan Brandt. He is a proud husband and a father of 2 girls. He is currently working as an education consultant in Riverside and San Bernardino counties. Believing is more important work as a father. Believing his more important work as a father, he spends free time in their classroom as a volunteer soccer coach or thinking about ways to help Isley and Elin develop into the best version of themselves. Isley is a beautiful 10-year-old in the 5th grade who loves to play soccer, plays the violin and piano, and as we've recently discovered, has a skill for learning software quickly. Ooh, she's super smart. She learned the software to use to make our whiteboard video on the GoFundMe account, and they've written a book together. She actually taught her mom in just a day. She's often happy, but is not far more frequently than necessary, recognizing that she was overly critical of herself and something that Dan worried he had modeled for her. They began reading about self-talk and discovering that happiness has far more to do with our thoughts than our circumstances. Wanting to better learn how to direct thoughts towards happiness, they began writing a poem based on what they were learning from Anxiety and Phobias workbook, among others. Initially, just for their benefit, that poem has grown into an illustrated conversation book aimed at giving families the framework for understanding and talking about their own thinking. Dan and Isley, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Erin. It's exciting to be here.
So, let us hear your voice, Isley.
Hi.
Oh, you're so sweet. Oh, my gosh. So you love playing soccer?
Yeah.
And what do you play? What's your position?
Defense.
Right on. Are you tough?
Most of the time.
That's awesome. Yeah, my daughter played for about 7 years when she was about your age, and she was super tough. Those girls are hardcore.
She actually broke her arm last season. That's how tough she is.
Oh, are y'all healed now?
She finished the season with a cast on.
Wow, good for you. You are tough. That's awesome. So first of all, tell us how you started writing the poem. What happened? What was that like?
At first we were just doing it in bed at night, and then we made it longer until we thought it could be a book.
Awesome. And do you like to read?
Yeah.
And before we talk about your book, what's your favorite book?
Harry Potter.
Oh, yay! I love Harry Potter. I love Harry. Who's your favorite character?
Sirius Black.
Oh, that's interesting. Now, why do you like him best?
He's an animagus.
Oh, that's true. He turns into that black dog. That's awesome. Do you like Hermione Granger? She's super smart.
She's my favorite.
So Dan, so you started writing this poem together, and you decided it might become a book. Tell us about that process.
So yeah, initially we were just reading these things, and I was trying to teach Isley what I was learning out of these books. And one night it was laying there in bed, it just struck me that, hey, I need to make this as visual as possible. And so I jumped out of bed, ran and got some clip art, and came back and showed her a picture of this boy clip art that I got that said, you see, there's Walter the Worrier. Most Wednesdays he's the worst. He talks of all that could go wrong until I want to burst. And we kind of both just looked at each other and laughed, and we thought, okay, this is kind of cool.
That's awesome.
And so we took the next several nights, and we took the 4 subpersonalities of anxieties, and subpersonalities are really just our patterns of response to situations in life and to the different things we encounter. And there are 4 in particular that psychologists say lead to feeling a lot of anxiety. And so we took those 4, and initially that poem was just, hey, let's introduce these characters, make them, personify them and give them names. So there's Walter the Worrier, Priscilla the Perfectionist, Christina the Critic, and Valerie the Victim. And then as that poem grew, it was actually at a soccer game. In fact, it might have been the same soccer game she broke her arm.
Oh!
I was sitting next to a parent who was explaining that, or talking to another mom about her daughter who struggles with intense anxiety, and how she's been looking desperately for something to help solve the problem. She's paid for a psychologist who really only told her, try and help Kayla have better thoughts.
Oh.
And
okay, how does one do that?
Exactly. She was left feeling like, well, what do I do about it? And so at that point, we kind of got the idea, well, other people need this too. And our poem kept getting bigger, and we wanted to answer that question. How do I help my kid have better thoughts?
Well, and it's harder. Well, I've never been a 12-year-old or 10-year-old boy, but I will tell you that, when hormones hit and the female body start getting estrogen and progesterone, and your image of yourself starts to change, and your feeling of your place in the world starts to change, and the outside influences have a greater impact on how you experience the world. So marketing and television and all of these things, and so that self-talk can be driven by things that are not healthy and wholesome and good for you.
That's absolutely true. Kids are exposed to, and people are exposed to so much. We talk a lot about bullying. It's the residual effects, though, that are so damaging. Researchers believe we think about 60,000 thoughts a day, and a lot of those are unconscious. We're not really aware of those, and those are tainted by and maybe started by something a mean person said, or an idea we got in our head looking at a picture of somebody else, their Facebook post, and, oh, I'm not happy like they are, or I'm not doing all these cool things that they're doing. And we let that talk track run over and over, and that really causes a lot of unhappiness and anxiety.
And what's interesting, and maybe Todd wants to jump in here, he raised 2 girls whose personalities couldn't be more different. And so one was more sensitive than the other, they reacted to things differently. So Todd, you want to jump in?
Oh, still is. I tell people that if you haven't parented 2 children, you don't really understand parenting, because the second one is not like the first one from day one. And so you think you've got it figured out, and then the second one shows up and goes, no, that's not the way I work.
Oh, yeah.
So let's talk about the book itself. The Perfectionist. And I'm guessing, Isley, that you're a perfectionist. Is that true? Because you got to say yes because it's radio.
Yes.
Because you seem like you're really good at a lot of things, which means you have a drive to be really good at a lot of things.
That's true.
So do you love playing the violin?
Yeah.
And it's a hard instrument.
Yeah.
How long have you been playing, sweetheart?
Probably a year and a half.
Year and a half? And you play at your school?
No.
They don't have an orchestra at your school? Well, they need to get an orchestra at your school. So when you were developing the characters together, Isley, what were you thinking about? Tell me how you decided who the characters might be.
Um.
And Dad can jump in if you want to help her.
So the characters were really decided by research. We came up with the names to go along with them. Walter the Warrior, Priscilla the Perfectionist, Christina the Critic, and Valerie the Victim. You'll notice those are all alliterations.
Indeed.
So we intentionally, we wanted to have a boy in there, but as you mentioned, it tends to be something that girls struggle with a little bit more, though certainly not exclusively. And so we wanted to have a boy and a few characters, and we kind of discussed back and forth, well, what should their names be? Do we like Veronica or Valerie?
So my first name is Valerie, so I really like Valerie.
But she's the victim, so you wouldn't want to be that.
I don't want to be the victim. No, I'm not a victim. And so have you shared this book with some of the kids at your school?
Yeah, a couple.
And do they like it? I bet the teachers really like it.
Yeah.
And is you obviously you're selling your book. Is it something that you think all schools should have this in their school?
Yeah.
Yeah, to make people feel better?
I think it'll help them.
Awesome.
Earlier this week, Isley had the opportunity to give Dr. Judy White, the Riverside County School District school superintendent for the county, a copy of the book. She wrote the foreword, and I think she did a great job encapsulating the need. Everywhere I go with my day job, with work, everybody's talking about the anxiety that kids are facing, and it used to be in high school, then it was middle school, and now it's even in elementary school. It's amazing how much stress these kids are feeling.
I think that when we judge ourselves, we judge how we're feeling. But when we see other people, we judge how they look. And we don't know what's in their head. We look at their pictures on Instagram and say, wow, their life is perfect. But that's not true. That picture just happens to be a good picture. It doesn't mean that you have any idea what they're feeling or thinking. And they could be more anxious than you. So I think that, social media makes that worse.
I think you're right. It's absolutely makes it more available, and people put up that image that they want to portray, and that's what we see. And oftentimes there's a lot more going on behind the scenes, which really leads into section 2 of the book, which is about how to objectively start questioning the thoughts that you're having about yourself or about life situations, and question, okay, is this really true? Am I being fair or honest? Our thoughts are tainted by, I shouldn't say tainted, but they're based in our past experiences and context that we're currently in. And so we need to objectively say, well, my context is this, but somebody else's is completely different, and take a fresher look at these thoughts to kind of destabilize them so they don't have such a grip on us. And that's section 2.
So Isley, have you learned how to do that, to say, wait a minute, why am I having this thought?
Yes.
And has that helped you?
Yeah, a lot.
And do you find that you can change your mood?
Most of the time, yes.
Oh, that's wonderful. Now, let me ask you this. Do you find, and this is really important because your perspective, because you're a kid, is really, really important for this. And I want all parents to hear this. Have you found that you can then change how you're thinking about yourself?
Yes.
And I bet that's been great.
It has.
Are you feeling more confident now?
Yeah.
And you know that you're an awesome person?
Yeah.
Right on.
My job as a parent is done.
That's right.
Mic drop.
All right. So how do people get this book? And how do people support the work that the two of you are doing together?
So right now, we've got a website, thinkingup.org. When we went to print on this, the section 4 of the book, section 3 is about how to replace your thoughts purposefully. Section 4 didn't get it into the book. So we have a website that we are working to get section 4 on to. It's all about guidelines for parents helping their kids and have that family conversation. And if somebody's interested in the book, they can check it out there.
Thinkingup.org?
Thinkingup.org.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic.
We were pretty excited about this idea of Thinking Up as a website and really a call to action. And so our social media, our Twitter and our Instagram are I Am Thinking Up, because that's really what we're trying to do for ourselves and help others do, is choose more positive, healthy thoughts, practice some mental hygiene.
Wonderful. That is wonderful. And Isley, I'm so impressed with you. You are phenomenal, and I hope that you always remember that.
Thank you.
So we have been talking with first of all, Isley and Dan Brandt. They've written this wonderful book, My Friends That Are Not, Rewriting Your Negative Self-Talk Script. You can find it on thinkingup.org, and you can support them on thinkingup.org. Skip that cup of coffee and drop them $5. It'll help them continue to write books together. Thank you both so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having us, Erin.
All right, so it's time for a break. I'm Erin Brinker.
And I'm Todd Brinker.
And we are On the Brink, the morning show on KCAA. We'll be right back.
Grand Jewelers Pawn and Loan will provide the emotional support and professional expertise to evaluate and purchase your diamonds and gold. I'm David Abrams, owner of Grand Jewelers Pawn and Loan, and for over 57 years we've been